welcome. This is Erica Glessing, and you're joining me for the Erica Glessing Show, where you receive 8 minutes of inspiration for lightworkers and entrepreneurs. And my next guest is both. She's dedicated her life to mediation and helping people break up nicely. I know, it doesn't even seem possible. I didn't quite believe it either. But now I've read her book. I'm so joyful to have been an early reader of her book. It's called Better Apart. So welcome, Gabrielle Hartley. How are you?
Thank you so much, Erica. I'm great. How are you?
So where are you calling me from? What part of the country are we in?
So I'm in Northampton, Massachusetts, which is in Western Mass, right by Smith College.
Nice. And is it fall or winter?
No, it's fall. It's beautiful. The colors of the leaves are all changing. It's lovely here right now. I'm not so upbeat about it here. It talked to me in about a month and a half. I'm pretty grouchy because it's cold and I don't like the cold at all.
So what gave you the idea for the whole Better Apart concept? How did you evolve that?
Well, I grew up with parents who were divorced, who did it really well. And I didn't really realize how magnificent they were at managing their differences and my brother and I until I worked for a judge in New York City and I saw how ugly divorce could become. And I wanted to give other people insight into how their divorce could actually help them move their own life forward so that it would be better and so that their families could actually grow from this adversity as my parents modeled for my brother and for me.
I think it's such an interesting concept because when people are in the thick of maybe having a narcissistic ex or someone who's really mean about the divorce, what can a woman do? And I'm sorry, I'm going to take the woman's point of view right now, and I know men have issues too, but I'm going to go ahead and stand up for my own. And I'm going to say, if he's calling us names like slut, and I can't even say the names my ex called me on the airwaves because it's a clean show. If he's calling me these names in front of children and he's behaving in ways that I'm feeling very contractive when he's around, he's bitter. What are some tools? What do you recommend that someone can do to kind of just shift how they react?
Well, the first thing, Erica, is to not engage. You may make a simple statement such as, you may not speak to me with those words, or I'm sorry if you're feeling upset, but you may not speak to me using those negative or insulting words. And then I would just disengage. I would not go into it further, and I would really limit my exposure to that person.
Nice. I'm already feeling better. At the idea of seeing certain individuals who will not be named less.
I mean, one thing that I encourage clients to do is, sometimes during a divorce or even after a divorce, seeing even just an email pop up, it can be very jarring if you're feeling calm. And, we lawyers often think, oh, just communicate by email. But when people are really triggered by being in an abusive or narcissistic relationship, I sometimes suggest that my client set up an alternative email so that they're emotionally prepared to be triggered, which isn't, going to totally get rid of the issue, but at least they can control when it pops up and just disclose that email for all communication.
When I went through this myself, and it was about 7 years ago, and I got the best advice and I did it. I would move the emails over to a different account, and then I would put on a cape.
I was like that.
This Superwoman cape I'd put on. I seriously did this because I would have that thing where someone could take me off track. So if I was at work and I'd get a message, I'd be off track, and people would come up to me, and I couldn't even talk to my employees. Like I had like 4 people working for me. I couldn't even if I got triggered, they would come up to me and I don't know who I was at that moment, right? Like I'm brain dead. I'm brain because I just got hit by something, by all this stuff. So what I did is I put it into a different, I had it actually automatically go into a different folder.
Brilliant.
And then I would like put on like this cape, and then I would open the things very poised, knowing there'd be poison in them. But sometimes like 15 lines under the poison, there'd be, can you make sure that you pick up, because I can't, you know what I mean? There'd always be these sneaky little things. So then I would just sort of like, but I love that what I did was actually like had a basis in I love that what I did by gut had a basis.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to tell you, I want to just offer for your listeners who are struggling as you were and many others are, there are resources such as ourfamilywizard.com. It sounds funny, but it's a really cool resource that the courts in Massachusetts are using, but I'm sure you can use it all over the country, which literally...
My ex flat out refused. That's how bad it was.
To do, I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, maybe you can get a judge to court order it, but that way... that program modulates your tone and your content.
It's an amazing tool. Yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome. So I just have to jump around because we have such short time. I love that you have yoga in your book. Tell us a little bit about yoga, meditation, and what does that have to do with divorce?
So I know it sounds really crazy. When I started to shop around the book, I got a lot of quizzical replies saying, what does this have to do with that? But it has everything to do with divorce and slowing down. Because when we slow down and make space in our minds and begin to separate our triggered reactive selves from our calm, settled, responsive selves, we can actually really create space for change. And when I talk about change, I'm not talking about a complete personality overhaul. I'm talking about making the room to respond to things just slightly differently so that it's more beneficial for you and for your family.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome advice. Yeah. Hey, the other thing that shows up for me is one of the things you told me that really, it just stuck in my head. It was, not only will the kids be okay, but actually the kids are going to be like better than okay. Like you actually kind of showed me like that this would be something that would be a transformational journey. I don't remember the exact words you used, but tell me a little bit about, if it's for the people who have gone through divorce, men and women, who are just so worried their kids are going to be in therapy forever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's conflict, it's shown, and I'm not a mental health professional, but I have been in this field for over 23 years, and it's really very well documented that it's conflict that causes damage. It's not having one parent, it's not changing in between households, it's the fighting. And once you remove the toxic element from the child, even if the child has ongoing exposure to the toxic parent or the narcissistic parent, some of the time, they're also getting the healthy parent which would have been you, for instance, in your situation, it sounds like, during other blocks of time. And so the kids really see what it's like to interact in a non-violent way. And, they can go on to see that life doesn't have to be filled with fight and with...
I just love how you broke that down. I actually got goosebumps. So I actually kind of got goosebumps when you said that what matters is kind of the peaceful household that you create, the peaceful environment that you create for your children that focuses on them and not on whether or not there's one parent or two parents or grandparents or uncles or, it takes a village, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful concept.
It's a loss for everyone, but on the other side of the loss is always an unfolding. There's always new space that creates new opportunity and new experiences. And while it can be really frightening to cross a threshold and we enter a swirl of fear, most people come out on the other side really better than before, and that's where Better Apart actually came from, that title, because many people actually operate better together when they're apart.
Wow.
We don't
So it's
trigger
just
each
been
other.
so much fun having on the show. I want to recommend that
Oh,
for anyone who's forgotten, I am on the line now with Gabrielle Hartley, and she, with her partner, writing partner, Elena Brower, wrote a book, Better Apart, the radically positive way to separate. And I got a galley proof, but you can buy it on January. And why don't you tell us the date,
yeah.
Gabrielle, and how people can
Yeah,
find it?
it's actually available for pre-order right now on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, through a lot of different book vendors. And you can order it right through my website at Gabrielle, Gabrielle, Hartley, HARTLEY.com. That's GabrielleHartley.com.
Amazing.
And thank you so much, Erica.
Thank you.